Good evening, my name is Katarzyna Nowicka and welcome to Poland Daily News. The Polish Sejm has resumed its session on the projects of the bills aiming to stop the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. During the debate, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki presented the steps the government has taken so far, as well as the plan for the coming months. The state intends to have 4 lines of defense against the epidemic, the last one being temporary hospitals. According to the opposition, this plan is proposed too late, and the epidemic has already spiraled out of control. The 4 lines of defense against the coronavirus pandemic presented by Prime Minister Morawiecki today are restrictions, public health care, increased production of hospital beds, and the creation of temporary hospitals. The epidemic strikes with a delayed result of 2 to 3 weeks, so now we have a rise in infections not only in individual sources, but in the entire society. To stop its spread, we introduced new restrictions in the beginning of October. The head of the Polish government also talked about changes to education. The higher classes of primary schools are to switch to remote or hybrid learning. We will reorganize schools in such a system. Let us remember that for the youngest children, up to 9 to 10 years old, learning with other kids in schools is extremely important for their social development, according to children's psychiatrists and experts.
W klasie, w szkołach jest również bardzo ważna ze względu na efekty społeczne.
Minister of Health Adam Niedzielski followed, saying that more restrictions will be needed due to the rise in infections. The beginning of September noted 550 infections per day. Today, this number surpassed 10,000. We are monitoring the number of the so-called red zones. Today, there are 300 red zones out of the 380 districts. We need to step on the brakes. We are not only defending the health of our people, but also our healthcare. Let's be clear, at this moment, we are testing the capabilities of our healthcare. After the speeches of Prime Minister Morawiecki and Minister Niedzielski, the leader of the Civic Platform opposition party accused the government of avoiding the debate on the virus since it was too busy tugging for political seats. He also gave the Prime Minister the projects of 16 bills prepared by the opposition. You divided money amongst yourselves. Even in the last days, you gave high bonuses to officials. Meanwhile, you left the Polish nation fending for itself. Today, there was another record number of infections, more than 10,000. 130 people died. People cannot get the emergency sanitary services over the phone. Schools have no instructions on what to do.
Odwoływane są wizyty u specjalistów.
Szanowny panie premierze.
Mr. Jarosław Kaczyński, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, I am addressing both of you, since I am not sure which one of you is the head of the government. I have been asking you a tough question for the past month. Who will you take off the ventilator when the hospitals start running short?
Kogo będziecie odłączali pierwszego?
The Sejm also took on the project of the liberal parties about the law ordering to wear masks in public. The beginning of the vote is planned for this evening. Apart from the pack of COVID acts, the MPs are also to appoint a new ombudsman. According to the spokesperson for the Polish government, Piotr Müller, tomorrow the Polish government is said to announce new social restrictions aimed at containing the spread of the coronavirus. According to unofficial information, one of the variants considered by the government is a ban on wedding receptions throughout the country.
Taking into account the number of infections, new restrictions will probably be introduced. All decisions will be made on Thursday. The situation is very serious, and the new restrictions will most likely be introduced this week. This week, can you be more specific? The decision on the introduction of the new restrictions will be made on Thursday, as we announced earlier. Thursday will be the day when we'll be indicating a new line of action when it comes to prevention measures in terms of the protection of the health and lives of our citizens. The new restrictions will come into force this weekend or at the beginning of next week.
The spokesperson for the Ministry of Health, Wojciech Andrusiewicz, announced today that the number of coronavirus infections is constantly increasing, especially in big cities. According to Andrusiewicz, the reason for the high number of infections are, among others, social gatherings in restaurants.
Niestety zakażamy się, jak Państwo widzą, w dużych miastach.
Unfortunately, as you see, people contract coronavirus in big cities. The footage showing full restaurants that you can see on television shows a total lack of responsibility. On the one hand, guests are the irresponsible ones. But on the other hand, sometimes the restaurant owners are as well. Our appeal to the citizens stays the same. Unfortunately, the wave of the epidemic is constantly increasing, and we have to comply with safety standards. Face masks and social distancing can protect us from contracting the virus.
The president of the Polish oil mining and gas extraction company, Jerzy Kwieciński, has unexpectedly resigned from office. Kwieciński has been the president of the company since January 20th, 2020, when he replaced Piotr Woźniak. Jerzy Kwieciński has announced that the reason for his resignation was personal issues. Farmers of Agrounia blocked roads across the country in protest against the 5 for Animals bill. During the protest in Koszuty in the Wielkopolskie province, Michał Kołodziejczak, the leader of Agrounia, was detained. After being cleared by the police, Kołodziejczak was released.
Nasze postulaty są jasne. Chcemy terminu spotkania z premierem.
Our postulates are clear. We want to set a date for a meeting with the Prime Minister. We want to hear a clear declaration that the 5 for Animals bill will be rejected. Today, the Prime Minister is speaking about social solidarity, about going through the crisis together. For the whole of Poland, this epidemic brings about difficult times. However, farmers are burdened with difficult situations on a day-to-day basis. They have no way to plan for the future. The bills which are being passed each day, we do not agree with them. We do not want to speak to the Minister of Agriculture. He is not our minister. We do not see him as our minister. We want to speak with the Prime Minister. The farmers' protest took place in a different format than ever before. This protest did not take place in one city, it was spread out across the whole country. This is yet another protest against the 5 for Animals bill. In October, the Senate adopted an amendment to the Act on Animal Protection. 76 senators voted for, 11 voted against, and 10 abstained from voting. Earlier, the senators did not agree on rejecting the amendments in their entirety. Among the accepted amendments was rejecting the restriction on ritual slaughter of poultry. The bill is now to be discussed by the Sejm. That's all for tonight. Now on to Poland Daily Business with Aleksander Wierzejski and his guest. Good night.